Hello everyone and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. My friends at EV Hire have recently added this 2021 Porsche Taycan Turbo S to their self-drive hire fleet. As with the rest of their fleet, it's very highly spec'd and is currently the only Turbo S variant of Taycan you can get for self-drive hire if you're based in the UK. So if you want to drive this very car yourself, make sure you click the direct link in my video description. However, today I have the car because I'm going to be conducting one of my real-world reviews, where I'm going to put the car through its paces over about 100 miles. I'm going to see the range, the charging, we're going to look at the storage capacity, how to set off, visibility, all the things you really need to know to really actually live with the car as an owner or someone wants to hire this vehicle. But before we get into that, let me remind you of some of the car's key statistics. Taycan is based mainly on a lightweight aluminium architecture, and in this Turbo S configuration comes in at 4,963mm long, 1,379mm high, 1,966mm wide without the mirrors, and has an unladen din weight of 2,220 kilograms. All Taycan variants are powered by the same permanent magnet synchronous motors with one in each axle, providing all-wheel drive, but there are two different battery options. This car is spec'd with the Performance Battery Plus that comes as standard in the Turbo and Turbo S variants and offers 93.4 kWh. This battery produces 617 brake horsepower and 1,050 Nm of torque with launch control. This results in a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 2.8 seconds and a top speed of 162 mph. We can really see Porsche's DNA when looking at Taycan's suspension. It is fitted with lightweight aluminium double wishbones at the front and a multi-link setup at the rear. This system also includes an adaptive air suspension setup to ensure a smooth as well as controlled and dynamic ride that adjusts to offer different feelings for the car's various drive modes. And now I've introduced the video and we've gone through the main specs of what the Taycan Turbo S offers, I think we can focus a little more on this exact car. Now when I went to spec this car with EV Hire, I think we were first looking at black. I thought the sort of triple black look would look great, but actually in white I think it really suits the whole idea. This car has the vehicle lift, which I'll demonstrate later, which is why the arches look so sort of raised at the moment. So it's got the non-carbon 21-inch front and rear wheels, the black calipers, which I think are a great option. And for the purpose of this car, I actually think the non-carbon wheels are probably a better option in all honesty. Of course there are two charging ports. There's one here on this side, it's for the standing charging, the standard charging. These can be opened by swiping across, which I'll just demonstrate later. And then on the other side we've got the fast charging port. I won't be able to really demonstrate the storage capacity today unfortunately, but it does have a front and rear boot. So this is a little key, as usual with current Porsches. It currently displays the sort of overall shape of Taycan. Buttons for lock, unlock, lock, front boot and rear. So we'll have a look at the front one first. I think this one is 86 litres. Does it come straight up? No, it doesn't. Okay, there's a little switch underneath. So currently this has just got the one of the cables in it. Because this has got so many different ports that you can plug it into, there are different cables you can get, but if you decide to get this one, all of this will be supplied with you, so any of your charging needs can be taken care of. You've got little storage bins at the side as well. Get those in with the puncture repair kit and a little roadside assistance kit, I think. So just going to pop this back down again. Okay, and then we can go to the rear as well. Well, I think we've got a 380 litre boot, so I pop that open. And at the moment you can see that I've just got my camera bag and another sort of accessory bag in here. It does go down quite deep. We've got a little net and quite a sizable storage bin on that side. A little 12-volt socket there as well, and that can be closed using this. It's free, so I'm going to get inside. Little handles pop up, which is a pretty cool feature. I'll give more of an interior demo from the outside a little bit later. So yeah, when you get in, you're greeted with this huge screen, and there are positives and negatives to this, which I'll sort of demonstrate a bit later. But in terms of the spec of this car, it's got the black interior, it's got the Sport Chrono timer, which is actually humongous. In this specific car, they've gone for the dual screen layout, so the passenger has more easier access to infotainment and things like that. As you can see, they just touch that and they have all the pretty much the same options. We've got the optional Burmeister sound system, which is unfortunate I can't display it because, you know, it's one of the best sound systems out there. Obviously there's copyright, and of course, as you can see around it, we've got the ambient lighting as well. So moving on from that, we can move down into the central column, where we've got the sort of more quick display. So the buttons at the top can be used to toggle the what's shown on the main screen. So nav, music, media, calls, settings, and this stuff's all standard down here. So we've basically got the heating controls for the dual zones. You've got heated and ventilated seats, so you can be comfortable in all weather conditions. We've got the park assist system, which comes up here, so we've got a top-down view and a rear view as well, but I'm pretty sure that can be changed with these. Yeah, so you just basically get a sort of different kind of view. And we've got the charge right here, so I press that. Currently showing 160 miles, 84%. When I picked it up yesterday, it was offering around 186 miles of range. So, like I said, today we're going into London, and we're starting off at 161 miles. From here and back, it's probably going to be around a 70-mile trip or so. So it'll be interesting to see how much we sort of get out of that. Now, of course, all cars sort of projected range changes, and it's all dependent on how you drive. So if you drive more aggressively, the car will adapt and change to that. If you drive more conservatively, likewise. But either way, I'm interested to see how that's going to turn out. So if we go to the map quickly, there's actually one bad thing which I'll touch on with these this button layout, but we can focus on that a bit later. So we can pull everything back just like that, nice and easy. And it's actually not facing, it's kind of like that, I think. So that's where we need to go. The map is really, really good. As I've said in some of my in-depth videos, the maps in Porsches are very, very good, very smooth. Yeah, you can access everything really easily. I'm not going to be using the map today, I'm actually going to be using Waze. But what I think we should do is I can focus on more of the specs of the car as we sort of progress through the video, but I think we should probably get underway and start our journey. So to start off, of course, we need to make sure that visibility is checked. These buttons are actually quite hard to access because you have to really bring your arm back quite far, but we can just adjust the mirrors just like this. Very easy to adjust, and they provide very good visibility as well. And of course you've got the large rear view mirror here. Then to start the car, usually it's just a tap on a button, but here what we have to do is you actually have to hold down the start button here, and then it will say. So you actually foot on the brake, hold the button down, and I've actually turned the car off by the looks of it, but we get the off screen. Then we just hold it on again, the car comes to life. Then we've got a very 992-esque gear shifter here. So basically for drive, push it down, then neutral, reverse, and of course the camera's gone, so we'll put it into drive, and then we can set off. And shortly what I'll do is I'll show you one of the car's main features. Okay, so we've moved along a little bit from where we were, still on the same road, but I wanted to show you some things. So Taycan is actually a very, very low car. So if you're deciding to get one, or if you want to use this one, you need to make sure that you use the vehicle lift if you want to get over speed humps easily, because the front is very, very low. This can be easily done, so we just go to chassis height, and we have low, lowered, medium, and lift. So hopefully, if I press this, you can see out the front. You can see it going up very gradually. And then we can move up. There's also the battery recoup setting, which is currently off. We're going to put that on as well to see how much power we can get back. Then we've also got the electric sport sound. So I'll demonstrate how this sounds first with it off. So we'll set off now. Okay, fairly quiet. When I put it on, Now for me, there's already a very distinct sort of bass hum that's being emitted. I don't know if you can hear that. But we can see how it sounds when we drive off as well. It's a very, very noticeable sound. And of course we've got the thing for the humps. So yeah, two very cool features, and I'm going to leave both of those on. I think the lift goes down from lowered, well, from its highest setting down into medium if you go over about 15 miles per hour. So you have to make sure you keep an eye on that. And then from medium, I think, goes down to lowered over 60 miles an hour. Obviously, you want to have the best aerodynamic efficiency. You don't want the car to be held back by drag or anything. So basically, you just need to keep a bit of an eye on that as you're driving. As we've reached some traffic, I thought it would be a pretty good time to reflect on a couple of things I've sort of found out. So we started about 20 miles ago, like I said. We had around 165 miles of range. That's gone down to 148 miles now. I don't know if you can show that quickly. So if you just bring the camera around, if there's any way you can just show that at all. So it's gone down a representative amount. I have got the battery recoup function on, as I showed earlier. I think that has actually done a good job of actually genuinely recouping some battery energy. So some of the things I've found out, so we've got a 1.5 litre bottle here. Usually, if you have one of those, so if you come down and look at this, you're stuck with those. You can't put them anywhere. But this one actually fits perfectly into the cup holder, so that's a really good function. Also, there's a huge debate on whether this is sort of a true Porsche, because it's an electric car. Obviously, the sort of spirit of the car, through its sort of emotional content and its soundtrack, is lost. But the feedback and the feeling through the wheel and the pedals, I reckon, still remains. The most recent Porsches I've driven, I drove the 992 and the 718 GT4. This has a very similar, obviously you can't say it feels like a GT car because it doesn't, but you do have very noticeable feedback through the pedal. There's also a very strange sort of humming that comes through as well, sort of pulsing feeling. I'm not sure if that's because I have the electric sport sound on, but it's very, very noticeable. Through the steering, you feel the car's very, very planted. There's great feedback. Traction's really, really good because, of course, you know, this has got the four-wheel drive system. This has also got four-wheel steer. So I found that in certain places where sort of manoeuvring might be tricky in such a big car, this has actually sort of mastered it. The wheel feels incredible. It's upholstered in this sort of really soft leather, but it hasn't got any sort of padding to it. You feel the wheel, the sort of base structure of it. And then I think that also helps you to feel the feedback through the car as well. So we're gonna continue on our journey, and I'll catch up with you a little bit later. I've just stopped off in quite a quiet area to take some pictures, which if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see. So all of my behind the scenes stuff is on Instagram. So if you want to see that sort of in the moment filming, make sure you give me a follow. My link will be in the description of the video as always. I thought I would talk through a few more things I found about the car. So now I've done a bit of sort of inner city driving. We're actually in London now, so we've gone about 35 miles. And that's actually how much the range has gone down by, pretty much 30 miles exactly. In the Teslas, I feel it drains a bit quicker, even with recoup on. Have been driving very conservatively with this, even in some sort of stop-start traffic. But the range has gone down sort of as you would expect it to, not too quickly. Now, if we look up, one of the main features I've seen that I really, really like is this humongous panoramic sunroof. And I'm pretty sure that is an actual option. It just makes the cabin so airy, so light. It's a really, really nice addition. We've got the speakers up here and down here, like I showed you the Burmeister sound system earlier, but they're all really nice. There's a central storage spot down here where you can sort of plug in devices, and you can probably even charge your phone as well if we look down there. That's really, really good. Of course, this car also has a rear, so I'm going to show you that as well. But so far we haven't actually looked at this at all, so we'll get inside. So super spacious. My seat is currently back or in the driving position. So I'm 183 centimeters tall. This is how much legroom I have in the rear, loads, and there's even little heaters at the bottom. There's also a screen here that displays all of the climate stuff for the driver and passenger. I just jumped into the front so I can show you this. So we've got two little vents here. We've also got all the climate menu things. And yeah, so there's a dual zone system in the rear as well, with a little storage bay down here. And I think there may even be some USB sockets around as well. So that's a really nice feature. It means, you know, if you're buying one of these, or if you're hiring this exact car, it means your passengers can be comfortable as well as you. The seats, I'll just move my crap out of the way. They are the proper sports seats, so they're really individual. And even on the sides, you get really, really good side bolstering. Sitting in them, I obviously haven't been driven in the rear, but they feel really, really supportive. We got this little thing that comes down by depressing this handle at the top. That comes down to provide, well, obviously removes the central occasional seat, but then we get two cup holders and a little armrest in the middle. We can easily pop that back up there. So yeah, really, really nice rear, very spacious, and of course made even more light and airy with the panoramic sunroof. Before I set off, I'll share a few more things that I've sort of discovered so far. When I'm actually driving, what I've found out, I don't know if you can see this. So, what can we see? This is my driver's eye view, this is right up against me. We can see all the main stuff here, which is great, but there's also lots of information that's actually blocked out by the steering wheel. So I'm having to bend and check out the information here for the lift, traction control, suspension, and then the configurable button here, and then everything else on this side as well. Now, of course, that's not a huge issue. You can see everything, and a little bit of turning is not good. But if you're driving and you're really having to pay attention to the environment around you, that little sort of break of attention from the road, you know, it's not ideal. Secondly, this car, if we can have a little look here, has got the proximity sensors on either side. So when you're driving along, those light up. And actually, you know, they're quite small. I haven't heard any wind noise, which is probably resulting because of that. But the visibility is good, and with the added proximity sensors, you do feel like you're able to manage your space very well. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue driving around London. I'm going to take some more pictures for Instagram, Facebook, etc. And I will be able to share some more insights with you shortly. After a brief bit of driving around central London, which I'll sort of include as B-roll over this, I can take some more things away from that experience. Obviously, we're driving out of London now, so I just thought I'd sort of reflect on what it was like, sort of inner city driving, stop-start. So the car, of course, being electric, is completely silent, but as I showed you, it does have a noise generation option. I've had that on the entire time, and it provides sort of a nice sort of bit of sort of emotional content, I suppose. Nothing like sort of what I mentioned with the sort of a GT4 or naturally aspirated, even just general combustion engine car. But at least it's something, you know, and people can hear it outside and you see them sort of looking in. So, you know, there's that element to it. It's quiet as well because the actual windows are double glazed. So that provides a really nice element of sound insulation. So, like I said, there's hardly any wind noise. Of course, no noise coming from the powertrain other than if you have the sound generation on. Because it's a Porsche, it does have feedback in the throttle, so you can really feel it. You have to actually push into the throttle and you feel some resistance coming out of it. Same with the wheel. It's completely fine in stop-start. Like I said, it's an automatic, so there's no real hassle. You don't have to think too much, but yeah, you definitely have to pay attention, like with any car, just more than anything because of its size. On that note, obviously with inner city driving, you have to have a car that's quite manoeuvrable, and the four-wheel steer part of this is actually very impressive. I've found that in other cars of this size without that system, I'd be quite worried about, you know, scraping the side of the car or not being able to make certain turns. But with this, you can get round, you can reverse into really small, tight spots, and yeah, you can turn out of tight corners as well. So anyway, I'm going to do the charging and further reflections bit of the video in a bit. as you've just seen, I've turned off of the motorway, and I'm finally going to try to charge this thing. Now, I've charged Teslas in previous videos, and that was pretty simple, so this is going to be my first non-Tesla electric charging experience. If we look at the range, so from yesterday I started out at about 180 miles of range. From today it was about 160 something. In all honesty, I have done probably close to 100 miles in total. So the actual real world usage is very realistic. Obviously there are a couple of driving modes that they can be changed using this drive selector. So I've got it in normal at the moment, and by turning it you can drive the car, change the car into Sport, Sport Plus, Individual, and then there's range as well. So normal is just a step up from range, and just with a sort of combustion engine car, it will allow you to have a little bit more power, a little bit more acceleration. There's probably a sort of an adaptive damper setting as well that may make everything a little bit bit tighter. So yeah, so I'm going to go outside and we'll try to charge this thing. As previously mentioned, these flaps can be opened by swiping underneath the black protrusions just behind them. To use this fast Ionity Charger, the small cover below needs to be pulled down to reveal the full socket. The Ionity Charger can then be taken from the holder and placed into the socket. As you can see, the charger I was using got caught before I could insert it. A white light will indicate a secure connection. To use it, you can either create an Ionity account or use the app as a guest, which is what I did. All you need to do is scan the QR code, fill out some forms, and enter a one-time payment method. Many people talk about range anxiety with electric cars, but I didn't actually have any during this drive. However, that was probably because my drive was all planned, and I think that's an important point for the world's current range of electric cars. You really need to learn how to own and operate them before buying one, as it is quite a different experience to what we're used to. After a short wait, the app confirms payment and the start of charging. The car indicates this with a green light, and the tower with real-time charge percentage increase. We can also go inside the car and view progress via the central screen. Of course, this only describes one way of charging. You can also charge at home and use different chargers. I've just tried to set up my GoPro because I wanted to do some filming sort of on the way back to EV Hire's headquarters. But it's decided to die, so I'm going to have to do the conclusion like this basically. As you've seen, I've just put the car on charge. It's been charging for 10-15 minutes now. The screen's just gone off, unfortunately, but I can get it back on, hopefully. There we go. I'm already up to 124 miles, so I'll keep it going while I talk about this, sort of my reflections. And then, where are we? And then I'll sort of sign off from there. So, what can I say about the Taycan that I haven't really already said? Well, I don't think I've spoken too much about comfort. So, the seats that I'm sitting in now, may have spoken about this already, but I think they're the sports seats. So they offer quite a lot of lateral support. I think I can probably show you down here. Really, really nice. Super, super comfortable actually. I've driven over 100 miles today, and they're very supportive, but they're very comfortable. A lot of padding at the bottom. See if I can see that. Loads and loads of padding. And actually today, the heating function, I don't usually like heated seats. For some reason they make me feel nauseated. But today they've actually been superb. And I gave one of my friends a lift into London because he was going into his office for the first time since March, all due to the different COVID lockdowns and things. And he was the one who was helping me doing a bit of filming. And he said the exact same thing. He just rolled his chair back and it was super comfortable. So yeah, seats really, really good. And I guess that also complements the suspension as well. Equally comfortable. You have, like I said, you've obviously got the dynamic Porsche ride quality, but it is also quite a soft and smooth ride. And for a Porsche, that's quite a strange thing in many ways. Most people don't sort of associate those qualities with a Porsche. In the Panamera 4S e-hybrid that I also had a go in last year, the brand new one at Porsche Centre Silverstone, this kind of has a similar kind of feel to it. And yeah, so moving on to sort of size and manoeuvrability, there's no getting away, this is a large car. Sort of I gave the dimensions earlier on, so even when you sort of look out the front, it's a big car. But you because of all the different things I sort of spoke about, you know, because it's a Porsche and it's got that fantastic handling, and because the suspension's so good, this one has the four-wheel steer, because the traction's so good, and obviously the weight distribution is really low because of the battery pack. you quickly become very, very confident and comfortable in handling the car. So it feels like a much smaller car, and I think that's a general quality with Porsches, because once again, talking about the Panamera, when I drove that at Porsche Centre Portsmouth, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, that had the exact same feeling. That's maybe just over 5 metre long car, but when you get in it, because of all these collective attributes coming together, it feels a lot smaller than it actually is. Yeah, the heating system is fantastic, comes on really well. The infotainment system, you know, it's Burmeister, it's really good. All the screens are super responsive, as I'm sure you've sort of seen in different parts. This pillar up here does actually get in the way sometimes, and there's sort of when you're trying to move, and when you're trying to sort of look back and sort of check the blind spot, which is what you should always do when you're merging. That can actually be a bit tricky, but fortunately, because of the blind spot assist on the mirrors, that's all sorted out. I noticed this car has a tension assist, so on the screen, basically if you're looking elsewhere for too long, the screen bleeps at you, and it shows some different displays. But overall, from the few hours I've been able to drive this car, I think it's actually, you know, it's superb. It turns a lot of heads, it's got a really distinctive aesthetic. And whether people know what it is or not, you know, it definitely draws a lot of attention. So it's always interesting to see people looking at the car you're driving and trying to work out why it is they're exactly looking. For this, if I've had the sound emitter on the entire time, so it probably sounds a bit weird driving past, especially in this sort of area. And also because it's actually got a really good spec, and it's quite actually a futuristic looking car. So the guys at EV Hire, they spec'd, I think, the optioned coloured glass for the front headlights, and maybe the PDLS, which is the Porsche Dynamic Lighting System, and that really creates a really dynamic look. Might be able to show that over this. So in terms of the other bits of spec, I think I've gone through pretty much everything. It's a shame I can't show the ambient lighting properly. But yeah, really, really great car. Amazing opportunity for everyone watching this who's based in the UK, that you can drive this car for yourself. It's a self-drive hire car, you can have it for as long as you want, basically. And all you need to do is go through to the description below the video and click the direct link that will be there to the page. And EV Hire have just partnered with a few other companies as well, so you can access a lot of other cars there too. So once again, I want to say a massive thank you to EV Hire for once again letting me try out one of their cars. Before I sign off, let's see what we're up to now. So a little bit longer, and now we're up to 144 miles, up to 70%. So I think I'll probably stop the charging there. And for that, if I come out again, I think all I have to do, you can also see how much is up there as well, is press this button. Yeah, and it releases it. There we go. And then you just put it back. So you actually get pre-charged a certain amount with these. Swipe here. There we go, comes down. So this is the Ionity Charger, this is the fast charger. I think it was charging at around, I'm not sure actually, around 150 kilowatt hours. It's actually quite variable. But I got a good range from 10-15 minutes of charging. I put an extra good few miles on it. Bloody hell. That was some potential crash going to happen between two gigantic lorries on the motorway that I'm near. Anyway, so yeah, as I hope I've just displayed, obviously I can't show every single charging station available, which is a shame. But you can just go into the navigation here, and you can go to find destination, and then you can go to this fuel thing here, and you can find Porsche charging stations, which I'm not sure if EV customers will be able to use, but then you can find all of these different charging stations as well. So it's super easy, and then you can just navigate straight to them. So hopefully I've shown that, at least with the Ionity chargers, when they're open, when they're free at least, it's a pretty straightforward process. So I'm going to reiterate, thank you again to EV Hire for letting me test out their car, and thank you for watching, and please subscribe for the latest content.